The mothership has connected. Welcome aboard. It's Watch DA live every Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 Pacific. Right here on all of your social media channels. On YouTube at Damon Amendolara. On Facebook at The DA Show. On Twitter/X at Damon Amendolara. Watch us live on your phone, on your laptop, on your PC, or how about this? Throw it up on the big screen TV. That's right, a little zap action on YouTube. Pull up the YouTube app. You can watch us right there on your big screen TV every Sunday night, right here, this bat channel, this bat time. Very excited about tonight's show. I was down in Baltimore last night for this amazing event, the Ed Block Courage Awards, which through the NFL brings together some tremendous athletes, players, staff from around the league. They also have a Mo Gaba Courage Award in the whole event. They honored Damar Hamlin for his courage and the training staff as well in Buffalo, who saved his life last night. It was so cool. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But down there, I had a chance to catch up with Falcons standout tight end, wide receiver, switchblade, Kyle Pitts. And now he's got Kirk Cousins throwing to him. He's got a new coaching staff, a new offense, new quarterback, but the same jersey. I'll explain. We'll talk to Kyle Pitts. You'll get to hear that. I have not aired this anywhere yet. Kyle's coming up in a few minutes. Also, my friend, my soulmate in many ways, aside from the home life, from career to having a good time on the radio to what she is doing is just amazing. I feel like Katie is my sister from a different mister. Katie Linendoll is a country music star, and she is performing in her hometown of Erie, PA, tomorrow for the Eclipse. We'll explain how that all comes together, but she's amazing. For all my radio audience, you guys know that she's been part of our show for many, many years, and she's just amazing. So we'll talk to Katie about the Eclipse block party happening in Erie, Pennsylvania, her hometown, tomorrow afternoon. Plus, we've got the Bacta Bracket Bash standings because we need to see who's winning a $150 gift card from Bacta Spirits and who's eating toxic waste. We'll explain on that as well. Speaking of, if you were a college basketball fan, thanks so much to Bacta Spirits. They have hooked us up with 2 $150 gift cards to their online store. So you can pick out whatever you want if you win our bracket challenge. One is for the on-air personalities. One is for the listeners, the viewers, the audience, you guys. So I'm here to share with you a little Bacta bourbon. I'm going to pour this in my Orioles tumbler in honor of the Baltimore trip yesterday. Salute, everybody. Good health. I appreciate you being with us. We always love the audience that builds every Sunday night here, and tonight is no different. It's going to be amazing. It's so smooth. It's a little sweet, too. It's not sharp at all. It's so smooth, a little sweet. It's a really great sipping bourbon, and there's a reason this is a $150 bottle. 2014. That's how old this is. So a decade old. They do amazing stuff over at Bacta. And once again, thank you so much for believing in us and believing in our show and wanted to bring your delicious treats to our listeners, the D-Aliens. All right, Aiden, the Marquette Marvels behind the switches. And he starts things off with our Furious 5+1. Let's lead things off here, Aiden. And we begin with numero uno. That would be the South Carolina Gamecocks winning the national championship. So first things first, undefeated South Carolina. What Dawn Staley has built in Columbia is just ridiculous. This is now the standard bearer of women's college basketball. It was UConn. We've seen some other champions along the way. Last year, LSU won it, but South Carolina just is now what UConn was, which is just year after year building a Final Four team, a powerhouse, a national championship team. They lost so many players from last year, and they just reboot, reload, and go undefeated, which is a historic thing. It's happened a couple of times in women's college hoops, but even so, this was such a great team. And I just felt like watching today's game, it took that type of team to defeat Caitlin Clark. And it took that depth, that size, that experience. They just had so many shot makers. And I felt like watching Iowa, it kind of fell into Caitlin had to be a superhero, and a lot of her three-point shots didn't drop today. And if they weren't dropping down for Caitlin, there wasn't a lot of other buckets to be had for Iowa. A couple of missed layups as well. And, I would say Caitlin had a B-plus game by her standards, 30 points, but she had to be at an A or an A-plus. A couple of other teammates had to make some big shots, and South Carolina had to miss some shots if they were going to win, and it just didn't happen. So congrats to the Gamecocks. They were just phenomenal, and it was going to take a historically great team to stop Caitlin Clark's assault on a national championship. She didn't get there, but congratulations to South Carolina. Fun game. I thought that there was a moment of the third quarter where Iowa had closed the gap to 2, and we saw Caitlin Clark throw this beautiful bounce pass to her teammate who went up for the layup and blew the layup. And the rebound came down to South Carolina. They came back down the floor and hit a bucket. They couldn't get closer than that 2-point margin in the second half. And I thought, that's kind of where it felt like it turned. You had to catch them there. You had to hit a big shot there, maybe take the lead, get the crowd on your side. Once that thing went awry, they couldn't get back in it, and that's where South Carolina built the big lead that they couldn't come back from. And, those are the plays that you have to make. But I think what Caitlin also shows us through her college career is that it wasn't just shot making for Caitlin and step back threes, but it was those amazing passes, the court vision that was very Magic Johnson combined with Steph Curry. It is very Diana Taurasi combined with a great three-point artist. I mean, the way that she saw cutting, moving teammates and was as exciting to her as dropping down a 30-foot three-pointer was, to me, the coolest part about her game. There's a lot of three-point artists out there that's now like the thing for kids. But how many three-point artists also can zing a 40-foot pass? How many of them can no look and hit a cutter? I mean, that's the stuff that I think just makes her game so interesting and fun to watch. But congratulations to South Carolina. They are your champs. On to topic number 2, and that is Caitlin Clark's career. I really think that however you frame this, it has to be framed in historical context, because I think Clark's collegiate career, even despite not having a national championship, ends up being one of the most notable, impactful that's been in any sport. And I don't know what her impact's going to be at the WNBA level. I assume she certainly draws crowds. I assume that it's certainly going to be a big deal when Caitlin plays. And I assume that there's going to be rivalries built there as well. When Paige Beckers gets there, for now, Breanna Stewart, when Angel Reese is there with her, on and on and on, their star power, and Caitlin playing these other stars will be interesting. But from a collegiate standpoint, this is what Caitlin Clark did. She changed how we digested the sport of collegiate women's basketball. I think there were plenty of us that from afar understood what was kind of going on in women's college hoops. I think undoubtedly, you knew that UConn was a machine, and last year, X, Y, or Z was a player or a team or a coach. Gino, probably Kim Mulkey, you remember Pat Summitt, but it was from afar for a lot of people. What Caitlin Clark did was it zoomed everybody in. It pushed us really close. She became must watch. We had to pay attention to her games and thus who she was playing. And so maybe at that point is when Angel Reese got on your radar, or at that point is when South Carolina got on your radar. This is at the point that, again, these games throughout the season you watch because of Caitlin Clark. And there's very few athletes that I think you can say that about. I think Tiger is certainly one of them. People watched golf because of Tiger. Then suddenly they watched golf. They watched tennis because of Serena in many ways. I think if you go back a century, it's kind of what Babe Ruth did to baseball. Baseball was a thing, certainly, but Babe Ruth zoomed everybody into the sport and made it can't miss. I think Magic and Bird did this with the NBA. The NBA was a thing, certainly, and it had some popularity, but Magic and Bird took it to a different level. I had I put this out on X, and one of my followers said, how about Muhammad Ali and Jordan making the NBA global? And I think those are good comps as well. Muhammad Ali certainly brought people into boxing, zoomed them in that maybe they weren't paying attention to as much. And Michael, I didn't consider Michael because Magic and Bird brought the NBA to such a massive level of popularity. But it is true that maybe globally it was Michael who then spread out to all those other places. But those are the type of careers you're talking about, that women's college basketball for the last 2 years, people discussed. And I had not done that I had not seen that in my career in sports media, maybe ever, where women's college basketball was the talk topic you could lead a show with. From my standpoint, I heard other hosts do it as well. I saw it on television. That's such a rarity, and Clark did that. And that, to me, just frames her career in such a unique place. All right, next up on the Furious 5+1. Aiden, throw up that next slide here as we kind of make our way through all of these big topics on this Sunday. We've got the men's tournament next up, or the men's championship game tomorrow night. And Purdue was impressive in their win last night. UConn was impressive in theirs. I'll say this again. I feel like I've said this every week here on the show. I don't think anybody can beat UConn, and I don't think Purdue's going to be the one to do it. And Zach Edey's had himself a hell of a tournament. Matt Painter's had himself a hell of a tournament, and that Purdue squad's really good. And pretty obviously, they're the second best team of the country this year. I don't think there's a way they hang with UConn. I think what you saw last night was a team like Alabama, a team like Purdue might be able to squeak out a half against UConn. UConn's too good. They're too deep. They're too talented. They have too many stars at too many places, and they play together brilliantly. And UConn just has this knack of, when they need a play on the defensive end, they get the block from Klingon. If they need a bucket on the other side, they get the bucket from a million different places. When they need the run, they get the run. When they need to get the stop, they get the stop. They have that all. So I would like to tell you that tomorrow night's going to be a fun game. I think it might be a fun game for a half, kind of like last night's game against Bama. But ultimately, I think UConn wins this game by double digits. I laid the 11.5 last night, and I was a winner. And I'm willing to lay the points again tomorrow night with UConn. I just don't think there's anybody that's going to take them down. And while Purdue might have a big man to try to challenge in Edey, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think this is a coronation for the Huskies. All right, next up on your Furious 5+1+, I want to remind you guys that Q&DA happens at the end of this show, so make sure you get your comments in, because Aiden's going to be collecting them all and then throw them out to me a little bit later on in the show. If you've got questions, sports topics, debate topics, comments about the show, anything, hit us up. Shohei Ohtani, this thing in LA is so bizarre. Of course, we have the gambling scandal, and I don't know anybody that believes the story that is coming out of Ohtani's camp, that it changed from one to the next, and then you had his interpreter somehow going from he was doing him a solid to he was stealing all of the money. All right. But now you have this home run ball situation where Ohtani hits his first home run as a Dodger, lands in the stands. It's caught by a woman, and she's there with her husband. The Dodger security staff goes to them. They want to get the ball for Ohtani. Fine, this happens quite a bit. They separate husband and wife. And they basically give the wife an offer that she can't refuse, because if she does, she's going to be left with an unauthenticated home run ball. What she says is they basically gave her a take it or leave it, which was a couple of, I think, a jersey and a signed bat or something like that. Then if she didn't take the deal, I mean, it was a signed hat. If she didn't take the deal, they were not going to authenticate the home run ball, which means she could not make any money off of it if she sold it because it wasn't authenticated. And she said, what else could I do? So, she took the hat and she took the bat and she gave the ball away. Well, Shohei the next day said, I spoke to the fan. It was great. I got the ball. I'm very happy about this. And she goes, we never spoke to Shohei Ohtani. So, number one, Shohei's just blatantly lying again. And I guess he just wants to make it like a happy, nice story, but it's just a blatant lie. Number two, the Los Angeles Dodgers are clearly doing some type of bidding for Ohtani, like playing hardball for him for his home run ball. And I just feel like there's an undercurrent here of the Dodgers being scared of Shohei being really protective and secretive, and Shohei being on his own island. And when that happened in Anaheim with the Angels just kind of got a grin and bear it because they're just the Angels. And you can do a lot in Anaheim and kind of go under the radar, and these types of things, probably get swept under the rug. With the Dodgers, it's a different story. And I think you're just seeing that the Ohtani paradigm around him is just fear. And I don't know if he's difficult. I think he probably is. Coming here as a star, already coined, already created from Japan, and now, he kind of has his set rules and you have to abide by them. This is really weird. It's really weird that these things keep kind of stacking up. And you'll never get me to be convinced that he didn't know what was going on with that money, that this story is true. And so he is now, on top of lying, I believe, about the gambling stuff, just making a stupid lie about I met the fan, to make everything go away. And now it just makes you wonder how shady everything that he says is or comes out of his camp, that it's so delicately constructed for the public face of everything's great, everything's nice, when it's really not. And I don't know, Shohei suddenly becoming kind of, a guy that you can't trust. And that's the last thing baseball needs, because they need this guy to be a massive, marketable star. All right, next up here on the Furious 5+1, your topics off at the top of the show. You guys know I had to weigh in on the Sacramento Kings or the Sacramento A's situation. I mean, this is just beyond stupid. And I put out a couple of videos as DA deep dives this YouTube channel this week, and I'm just beyond annoyed by the whole thing, because what ends up happening is John Fisher is allowed to do whatever he wants, and Major League Baseball's clown commissioner, Rob Manfred, and the other 29 owners don't have the stones to tell him to stop. Whether this was poor faith negotiations with the city, which I believe he's always engaged in, this was haphazard attempts at finding a site in Las Vegas, haphazard attempts to find funding for the site in Las Vegas, this crazy kind of going to play in for 3 years in a minor league baseball ballpark in Sacramento, which is not even the market where you're going to start attracting new fans in Las Vegas. It's in Sacramento. So how does that help you? On top of it being a ballpark owned by one of his best friends, Vivek Ranadive, who owned the Sacramento Kings, the Sacramento River Cats. And then the backdrop is John Fisher's never, ever, ever invested in the team or the stadium. So the fact that he can get away with all of this is so deplorable by baseball. I'm so pissed off that Rob Manfred allows this to happen, and that the other owners all know it's a total con. Quietly, anonymously, they talk to Jeff Passett and Ken Rosenthal and others and say, why are we doing this? This is silly. We shouldn't be doing this. But nobody stands up and says anything. They all voted for relocation unanimously. So here's Rob Manfred, who 7 years ago, said on tape, he says publicly, we will regret leaving Oakland if we ever do leave. And 7 years later now, he's just standing and watching the whole thing go down like a slow motion train crash. It's so obnoxious. It's so pathetic to play for 3 years in a minor league stadium of 14,000 fans, 14,000 fans capacity. If the A's were even pseudo competitive, you can back your way into the playoffs. I mean, there was an 84-win Diamondbacks team that went to the World Series last year. If you were even pseudo-competitive, you might have to play playoff games in a minor league ballpark. I mean, it's a joke. The whole thing's a joke, and I'm so disgusted at the owners and Rob Manfred for letting this heist happen. All right, next up. Here we go. On the Furious 5+1, we also have Totality and Beyond, this solar eclipse. Now, I'm trying to learn as much as I can about the eclipse, and Katie Linendoll is going to join us coming up here shortly to talk about this, because she's got this whole event going on in Erie. But from what I'm gathering is totality. We've got partial eclipses all the time, but the total eclipse rarely happens. And it happens in the world, but it doesn't happen in the United States very often. So if you were an American and you want to watch it here, you don't have any chances to do so. The next total eclipse will be in the lower 48 in 2044. All right. So we're talking about 20 years from now. And that one will cross Montana and the Dakotas. So if you live in the trajectory of this one, which is kind of come up from Texas and then across like Indiana and then up through Erie, PA and Buffalo, you wouldn't be able to do this maybe again for like 70 years. So that's why they call this thing the big one, if you will. It's for that band, okay? But total eclipses actually happen relatively regularly. You just have to go to crazy parts of the globe to find them. So that's why this thing is a big deal, that it's coming to us. And it feels a little like Halley's Comet, which I'm kind of on board with, that there's this kind of benign, kind of silly weather event or global event that we can all just kind of watch as a society. It's a little like I think back to like the bicentennial of 76, where everybody just gets to kind of have like one big party that is totally benign, and we all kind of get to celebrate, and we all get to do it as one, and then, all right, fine, it's over. And it's like over commercialized and overtly kind of silly. So I like this. I dig it. But I have to say that I'm not traveling for the eclipse tomorrow. If I could see it from my lawn, from my deck, God bless. If not, for everybody in Buffalo and Erie and Indianapolis, have a great time. Have just the best time. You're going to get darkness for like 4 minutes, complete darkness, 3.5 to 4 minutes, and the temperature will drop about 15 degrees. Don't look at it. That's all I can tell you. Don't look at it. All right, Katie's going to come up in a few minutes, and we'll talk to her about the eclipse party that she's having in Erie, PA tomorrow. But first, let's take a short step right here, pause. We're going to set up an interview that I did with Kyle Pitts last night in Baltimore. He was in town for the Ed Block Courage Awards, which I emceed last night, which was an awesome event. I'll talk about a little bit later on. But star tight end Kyle Pitts, he's number 8, and so is his new quarterback, Kirk Cousins. So what happens to his jersey? Find out next as we toss to the Kyle Pitts interview in just a few moments.
Block Courage Awards, the gala downtown Baltimore, and joining me here is star tight end / wide receiver / kind of everything, I think, for the Atlanta Falcons, Kyle Pitts. Kyle, how you doing, man?
Oh, good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. We can't see it on camera, but these Louis pants are just amazing. Can you stand up? Look at the color fit. That's a fit check right here. That is a fit check. Look at
some baby blue, some baby blue and white, some Louis red. It's a cool. It's nice cut. It's nice.
I think we broke some news tonight that you're not giving up number 8 to Kirk Cousins, huh?
I'm not.
Now, did he reach out?
That wasn't something that was, to him wasn't pertinent about, his recruiting.
Yeah.
It really didn't affect him because he was coming to Leno. So he would have never been penalized. It would have just been me. He was helping me if we were to do the change, and it was a feasible number, but it was out of our reach, and we just like, we'll come back.
Well, what do you mean it was out of your reach? You gave him a number that he couldn't match?
No, it wasn't me. Like I said in that check-out news, the league got it, and it's based off jersey sales and what inventory is out. He would have been me, but he would have helped me with it essentially.
You had to buy out all the stuff.
Yes.
Every Kyle Pitts number 8 jersey had to be purchased.
It would have been at my front door. So it was like, Kurt? I call him, I'm like, we're just not going to be able to have it as there. We'll just stay with it. He'll go with 18. I'll stick with 8. So that we, no big.
everybody's saying, like, this is going to unlock Kyle Pitts. It's going to unlock Bijan Robinson. It's going to unlock Drake London. Do you feel that way?
I definitely feel like that. It's a manifestation. We've all been, waiting for some things to happen here. We're just grinding, looking at that stone every day and creating a scope.
Did you recruit Kirk?
We'll talk.
Legally?
I'm talking about, so I'm the player.
Oh, okay. So
there's no example. You can't talk this there.
Okay.
But the player, we're friends, then we're friends.
So why are you being coy about it? He seems really thrilled to be there, and that's a good combination to have. When you have a quarterback that's thrilled to be there, and a bunch of teammates that are thrilled to be there, it must just be like, I can't wait to get to training camp when they chase them.
100%. I mean, the building, the energy, the building, the facilities, the staff, we're all excited. It's, not discrediting the last step, but, it's opposite. We're going to reward the staff. So some new endeavors. Appreciate the past, with the presence.
I don't want you to have to be critical of anything, but did you feel at all like maybe you weren't completely utilized to your fullest potential in your first couple of years in the league?
I wouldn't go as far as completely utilized because, my first year I had a really good first year and, caught for 1,000 and touchdowns wasn't as high, but it takes all 11, and I can't pinpoint one specific person or one specific thing or play as the reasons why, my success hasn't grown. It's a team game, especially on offense. You have to depend on 10 other people. Defense it's a team game as well, but you have more leeway. You're not really worried about if someone's going to throw you the ball or something like that. It's been great. I learned a lot in these past 3 years with Coach Smith and just everything that's been going on. I definitely have to say I feel like I've grown, and it'll be fun to see this year.
One of the most annoying things must be Falcons fans or NFL fans in general going, "You're on my fantasy team. Why don't you kick more passes and touchdowns?" And you're like, "It's not part of the offense."
Right. That's something that drives the NFL, fantasy. And I understand. We used to do it in high school. It was pretty fun. But they don't understand it's really a team game. And if we win, then my stats don't matter. Or if we lose, my stats don't matter. So it's about the win-loss column, not my specific stats in the game.
So you've heard that though, I'm sure a lot.
Definitely. Fantasy drives people. Some people bet a lot on fantasy. We don't know nor care. We just go out there and perform.
Social media, you have a great personality. You're thoughtful. You're out there. But can social media be hard because you hear from so many people about so many different things, some of them critical?
I would definitely say because they don't know what's really going on in the building. They don't know the play call. They don't know the scheme. Somebody may have had a missed assignment, but they only see what they think they see. They don't know what's really going on. And, every play, every series, what we're seeing, what the defense may be doing. So just to be able to kind of have that, grounded, just don't worry about, because they don't know what they're really watching. They're just watching what they think. If I ask you to read a play and spit it out and go play, it'll be a little harder for you. Vice versa. If you told me to go speak at the Super Bowl and host the show, it'll be hard for me. So it's like, everybody's professional in what they do for a reason.
What was the biggest misconception that people had about last year's Falcons?
I don't know. That's a good one. The biggest misconception.
People thought that Arthur Smith didn't use you guys correctly, that Bijan Robinson wasn't used correctly, you weren't used correctly, play calling was too conservative.
So then my question is, when people say that, how do you judge it? How do you, as a fan, say that he's not being used enough, but the games might be getting won? Or he's getting used too much and they're losing. And then what? So it's always that happy medium of you got to really understand what's going on.
Congratulations on being honored here. The group of people in this building are really amazing people, and it's representative of really good people around the NFL. So the Ed Block Courage Award means a lot to a lot of people around here, and everybody says glowing things to say about you, man. So nice job. Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good to be here, huh? Good place.
Yes, definitely great time.
Good group. Yeah. All right, let's go party.
All right, let's do it.
Afterwards, we partied. That was a good time. So here's the situation from last night's Ed Block Courage Award. Ed Block was an NFL trainer back with the Baltimore Colts. And when the Colts left in '84 for Indianapolis, Ed Block's foundation began to honor athletic training staffs around the NFL that went above and beyond. And through it, the team votes on courageous players or honorable players, kind of like the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, but within the team, they vote for guys like Kyle Pitts. And last night there was Rashawn Gary of the Packers, David Andrews of the Patriots, a number of other guys that really are very well respected within their organizations for kind of going above and beyond. And the training staff of the Buffalo Bills were the ones that were honored because of the way that they basically saved Damar Hamlin's life. And Damar was actually there on hand to present them the award. So that was a really powerful moment. It was good to see Damar Hamlin, and I got to talk to him a little bit. And he's just such a kind guy. He just doesn't need or want the attention. He's just happy to see others honored. So that was really cool. It was cool to catch up with some of the good guys of the NFL as well. And they had a Mo Gaba Courage Award, which was really freaking awesome. And it was to a child who had kind of embodied doing great things, in the community or trying to help others around him, like my friend Little Mo. And Little Mo is the reason that, I kind of have the momentous Mondays, the momentous moments. We went down to Camden Yards a couple of years ago for Mo Gaba Day. Mo was a listener of mine, and he was just a kid when he was listening and calling, but he had this infectious laugh. And he would call all the time at night, and I didn't know that he was really sick. He had cancer since he was 6 months old, and he just had this spirit about him that was incredible, just incredible. And he never told us he was sick. He never told us he had cancer. He was living in and out of hospitals constantly his whole life. I only knew about that because I started reading about him because he became a big deal in Baltimore. And I said, is that our Little Mo? By the end of his life, a couple of years ago, we could tell that he was winding down. I went down to actually meet him in person, and I was by his bedside, the last couple of days of his life for an entire day. And I got to go outside with him and throw the football, with him, the Nerf ball. He was just he was still giggling even at the very, very, very end. And so he's just my inspiration all the time. So the fact that this Ed Block Award or the Ed Block Courage Awards and Foundation has a Mo Gaba Award, I'm just like over the moon about. And I was so pleased to be down there and contributing to that. So for my listeners that remember Little Mo, I just want you to know that his mom, Sanzi, was on stage last night to give the award to this young man named Aiden, actually, Aden. And this young man had done some cool stuff in the community and showed courage of his own. And so Mo's spirit just kind of continues, and he's part of this every single year. And so there's a Mo Gaba Way if you ever go to Camden Yards or M&T Bank Stadium for the Ravens, where you can go. And there's a block at Camden Yards that has Mo Gaba's name and picture on it of their wall of fame. And in the end zone, Baltimore, for the Ravens, the MO is lit up, and the Ed Block Courage Awards have a Mo Gaba Award every single year. So he's always remembered. He's always with us. And it was a total thrill last night to be part of that. And if you want to look into maybe how you might want to contribute, Ed Block Foundation online, they help children that are in and out of foster homes, seriously adverse conditions, those that are at risk. That's their outreach in the communities all around the NFL. So every NFL city has an outreach through this foundation for children like that. And it's an amazing cause, as you might imagine. So if you were at the event last night, I appreciate you stopping on by. It was a lot of fun. I wish I could have had more of the crab cakes that they were serving. And I even had a Jell-O shot, which I haven't had since college. There was an after party, and somebody with the foundation made Jell-O shots, and they were in a big igloo cooler in the room. And I said, this seems like a terrible idea, but I'm going to do it. And it was delicious. And I might have done more than one. Things got a little fuzzy because somebody bought me a tequila as well. And I think there were two of them. Not great. So anyway, I'm actually feeling okay, but there was a Jell-O shot or two last night, and kind of felt like Will Ferrell in Old School. Let's go streaking! All right, this Eclipse tomorrow has everybody talking, and I'm just delighted that people are happy about something. Everything is so contentious, especially in an election year, that I just love that everyone's like, yeah, let's go do the Eclipse. Woo! I love this. Apparently, Kristen in Buffalo is holding a party. So if you're in the Buffalo area, reach out to Kristen right now in the chat. She'll have you over. You can sleep over. take the basement or something. She'll cook you a casserole. But I want to bring in my friend Katie Linendoll, who's in Erie, PA, rehearsing for her performance tomorrow. Let's go to Katie Linendoll. Well, we are close to this incredible global event, really a great American event as well, with the solar eclipse tomorrow afternoon. And where else would you rather celebrate but at the home of the Erie SeaWolves? And who is better to represent that than our friend, the Gidget of Gadgets, Katie Linendoll. Katie's debut appearance on Watch DA Live. Katie, how are you?
I am so excited for this new show. You're crushing it, DA, across the board. And like, I get to be one of the very first guests. What an honor. But I will say that you changed my title from the Gidget of Gadgets. Remember, we also had another title for me? And it's so apropos being that I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania. The Queen of Ox Roast.
I was going to say Queen of Ox Roast. That's right. Queen of Ox Roast. For those that don't know, we've had an ongoing bit on the show about how ox roast is a delicacy of, I guess that would be northwestern PA. Is that what we're going to be calling Erie?
Sure.
Northwestern PA. And an ox roast is not ox, is it? It's just cow, but it's called ox roast.
It's one of the hometown staples. I ate it for 23 years of my life. And then I found out that it's not anything to do with an ox. Sure what meat it is. It's a mystery. Make time for a restroom usage after if you don't want to overshare, but it's delicious. And you know what? It's here everywhere. So if anybody's interested in trying ox roast, Erie, Pennsylvania is the place to be for it.
Well, we are talking about Erie because Katie's going to be performing with her band. She's a surging country music star now, and she's performing at the Eclipse party at the Erie SeaWolves. And everybody's talking Eclipse right now, so I thought you'd be the perfect guest to come on to talk about the Eclipse. First off, this is such an amazing event. If you're in the Erie area, you should go out there because it's no admission, right? It's just one big party tomorrow.
This is the ultimate block party, and like pun intended, because blocking out the sun, obviously. I am so pumped for this. So we are hitting 4 minutes of totality. Erie is like right in the line. And being a hometown girl, I'm so excited for just everything and the impact that it's bringing from like the businesses to just the people coming in. We're expecting around 300,000 people, but don't be intimidated because we were out cruising today and it's like, there's no traffic. It's fine. Come into Erie if you're in the Buffalo, Cleveland, or surrounding areas. SeaWolves, Eastern League champions, UPMC Park. We are having a free admission block party. Amazing music. Myself, the Roads Below will be playing. And also there's inflatables. You can meet the team. SeaWolf, they're like, he's one of the top 10 mascots, I think, DA, in the country. Unbelievable. Everything's going to be going on at the SeaWolves starting at 1 p.m. Doors open, and we're just throwing the ultimate block party. And I am honored to be kicking it off, headlining, and have an amazing show. We're in rehearsals now. All awesome show planned for everybody in attendance tomorrow. First 1,000 people get free glasses too. And then the crazy part about it is I'm kind of like learning as I go because I don't know, eclipses don't happen every single day. The blackout starts like an hour before, and then you like kind of fade into it. So the totality is about 4 minutes. It starts here in Erie at 3:16, great number. And then it'll last for 4 minutes, but it's really that hour before and hour after. So it's kind of like dark, then it's blackout, then it's like dark again. So you get this whole time to experience. And they told us too, we're gonna have to like play with glasses on because like the rules and regulations. So it'll be a very interesting show. And just like, what a unique experience, but no better than being here in Erie, PA.
But I never remember it being this big a deal. Is this, and you're pretty good on science, and you've done a lot with the Weather Channel, et cetera. Is this one different than all the other ones we've seen in our lifetime?
You're so right. Because remember in 2017, I covered the eclipse, like gadgets that you could use during the eclipse that we had then. And that was exciting. But I feel like this one has so much more hype. And I can tell you, just being in the path and the direct pathway, I've never seen anything like this in my hometown. And there are just like, we were just passing through tons of billboards, like it's the ultimate sunblock party. And then also like watch traffic, eclipse happening Monday. So there's just so much hype and enthusiasm. And of course, all the pop-up shops with the glasses and the hoodies and the You Got Mooned t-shirts. So everybody here is just like totally pumped, but I also saw that coming through Buffalo as well. Anyone that's in that direct line, I think this has been the most exciting eclipse to date. And I heard that here in Erie, the next time we get a total eclipse is going to be in 2099. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be looking like in 2099. So I'm just going to live in this moment and make the best of it.
Okay. this is going to be the biggest eclipse we have in like 70 years then. The next biggest...
But DA, you and I talked about this. Then like 3 years later, they'll be like, oh, we got another one. You see like shirts out on the market. Like, wait, didn't we just do this? Didn't we just have this eclipse? But supposedly, and I'm just excited about it because of all the enthusiasm around the town for sure.
I'm really intrigued by this because the hype is so high. I mean, when you drive on the highways around New York, and I just drove down to Baltimore yesterday, along the Jersey Turnpike, etc., is Eclipse Monday. Arrive early, stay
all
late.
The schools are up, all the businesses are shut, gone. Yeah.
I mean, schools are closed. They're getting out of school early. Do you ever remember growing up in school and they closed the school for an eclipse?
Do you know what? Can I tell you, growing up here, there would be like 17 mounds of snow. You couldn't get the car out. They'd be like, figure it out. Figure it out. You still have school. Start shoveling. There's like a 4-minute, sunblock. Everybody's done. Maybe it's a sign of the times, DA. People are getting soft.
Perhaps. On Monday in Erie, the party's going to start at 1:00, and everything's going to be just fun and games, and you guys will be playing music, etc. And then, how long is the party going to last for?
Yeah, we're going right to it's starting about 1. We're probably going to go right until 4. I think the party's going to continue at the SeaWolves because I think it's going to be a bit of a traffic jam getting out. But I say come if you're around the area. It is going to be so much fun. Tons of activities. Like I was saying, meet the players, concessions, merch. Meet SeaWolf, one of the most famous mascots, and UPMC Park is one of my favorite parks in the entire country. And they always have fun, cool, trendy stuff going on. They became viral for their cotton candy hot dogs, topped with nerds. I mean, always something cool happening at the park.
Erie SeaWolves are a class organization, so it's so cool that they're inviting you down there. They won the championship, as you said, last year. At my local grocery store, they had an Eclipse sale, and they had a discount on... Let's see. They had a discount on Sun chips, and they had a discount on Cosmic
Moon pies.
Yes, moon pies, and then Cosmic apples. I think they're called the apples, Red Cosmic or Cosmic Red or something.
Grab like that. Bag. Like here's our pop up of like things that kind of make sense.
Exactly. So I'm saying this because I hope that you're going to have at least one song that you alter the words to just enough, so that it's an Eclipse specific song.
You hear that, boys? We got to change some words. It's a little 11th hour, but we got to make it happen.
Maybe you guys can cover Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Wait, P.S. DA, before I lose you. By the way, I buried the lead. So I also am going to be throwing out the opening pitch the following night for opening night at the SeaWolves.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because Tuesday night is opening night for the actual team.
It's like a double header. I feel like my head is going to explode. But wait, there was a point in telling you this. Something about now I forgot. I've been practicing though. You'd be proud.
Yeah. Okay. And how's it coming?
It's good. I'm an athletic girl, but I'm it's just stress of the environment.
Yeah.
I
mean, look, if you can do, what do you call those things?
I remember what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
So they gave me a t-shirt cannon tomorrow. That's what I was going to tell you.
Oh, you got the t-shirt cannon.
Forget changing the words. They got us the t-shirt cannon. They had to order special CO2 cartridges. So we're not only throwing out pepperoni balls, another delicacy here in Erie, PA. We are throwing out t-shirts via the t-shirt cannon. I knew I had something important to add there.
Goodness. Talk about a bucket list 48 hours. You're performing at the ballpark in your hometown for an eclipse that'll happen once every century, and then you're throwing out the first pitch, and you get to hold the t-shirt cannon. Unreal. Just keep upping the ante, Erie SeaWolves. Every single step, upping the ante. Next thing is Katie drives the blimp. She's the one flying the blimp above the game.
I've always wanted to blimp. Remember when the blimp was a thing? You'd be like, the freaking blimp's outside. Now it's like,
Night 3, she drives the blimp. Night 4, she's hitting cleanup and starting at third base for the Erie SeaWolves. All right, so if you're in Erie, you got to go see Katie. Tomorrow, Monday, 1:00 is when it starts. Total Eclipse happening. Totality around 3 something?
3:15-ish, 3:16.
Okay.
Yes.
So be there for that. Katie's got to go back to rehearsal. Tell the guys I said hello. I can't wait to hear how it goes tomorrow.
They all love you. They can't wait to hear from you. See you soon, DA, and check us out at the Eclipse if you're around the Erie area.
Absolutely. We love the great Katie Linendoll. She's the best. Infectious energy, all positivity. If you're in the Erie area tomorrow, go for the block party. Come on. What could be better than that? Free block party. And Katie's performing with her band. Amazing. Love it. So I'd like to get out to Erie, PA for a little ox roast. And as she said, a cotton candy hot dog where I think the bun is cotton candy. Got to try everything once, right? Okay. Eclipse time tomorrow. By the way, weird couple of days here. We had an earthquake on Friday. Yeah, in New York. We don't usually have those. Epicenter was Lebanon, New Jersey, which is like probably 60 miles west of the city. And as you might imagine, not a lot of earthquakes in the New York City region, but this one centered in New Jersey, went up to New York City, spread out, went all the way up towards Boston as well. But it was a 4.8, which is small potatoes for anybody on the West Coast. But for us, I was sitting at the counter in my kitchen. It was just me and Rosie the cat. And I honestly thought it was a huge rush of wind at first. I looked out to the deck, and there was some wind. And I was like, wow, this is a lot of wind. And then it was like a low rumble. And I'm like, whoa, that's not wind. And it felt like the ground was like everything was reverberating. So glasses on the counter were kind of shaking, rattling, and the furniture was kind of hopping. And I said, whoa, that's no wind. And I honestly thought it was like the boiler in the basement exploding. It sounded like, I'm like, whoa. But then Rosie got down on all fours, started looking around, and then she darted. And I said, this is an earthquake. Now, I've never been in an earthquake, but I said, this is an earthquake. So I went and I stood in a doorway between the bedroom and the bathroom. I don't even know if that's right, but I just feel like I've seen that in movies. Go to the doorway or hide in a bathtub. So I did that, and then it kind of like lowered. And then it passed. It was about maybe 15, 20 seconds or so. I was like, whoa, what happened? And I didn't know. I live out towards the country, so I thought maybe it was just like my yard or this road. And then I started getting text messages from Britt, who I work with. We have a text chain going on with everybody at the radio show on SiriusXM. And then some of my other friends from home started texting me, did you just feel an earthquake? I was like, oh, that was an earthquake? Okay. I thought it might be, but I didn't want to sound crazy. And then, of course, it was all over the news. So my favorite part was, though, the TV stations were going live to Times Square when that's nowhere close to where the epicenter was. It's like New York City rocked by earthquake, and there's just people milling about, just walking around. Nothing affected them. Like nothing broke. Nothing seized. Maybe some lawn furniture fell over. We are live amongst the chaos of New York where people are running like it's Godzilla. Everyone's just kind of eating their Sbarro. Hey, what happened? Having a hot dog on the street. All right. So we've got earthquakes. We've got eclipses happening this week. Something's going on. The universe is certainly doing something to all of us right now, and we can only sit here and watch, right? I want now to look at the brackets because the Bacta bracket bash is happening, and Bacta Spirits is a sponsor of Watch DA Live every Sunday, which was so kind of them to donate two $150 gift certificates to you guys for our bracket challenge, and one of these bad boys to the DA Foundation, the DA Foundation of Nighttime Cocktails, which is a very popular foundation, very consistent as well. So, Aiden, throw up the graphic of the listeners, okay? Let's look at the Bacta bracket challenge. I want to see what listeners are up there, okay? We have the on-air staff and then the listeners as well and the audience. And here we go. Look at this. This is interesting. So Ron Solo leads, but he's got Purdue winning the whole thing. Preston is in second place, has Purdue. The Hat 13 in third place has Purdue. So if UConn wins, looks like SEC op stocks, sec op stocks, whatever that number 4 guy is or gal is going to seize to the top of the standings. All right. So how interesting is this? We've got some action here. So that's your top 8 in the running for the $150 gift card for Bogdan. Now I want to bring up the on-air personalities because this has a punishment to it as well. Winner gets a $150 gift card to Bogdan. Loser has to eat something called toxic waste, which is the most sour candy on earth. This is their one sour moment challenge. And look at this. Mraz in the lead right now. He's in the lead and number 11 overall in the total bracket challenge. Shep just behind him. Babs coming in at number 3. Pete the Body at number 4. Bogues 5. Gelb 6. I'm 7. And I had Houston. Look, everybody else had UConn. Nobody had Purdue. How about that? But look at the Marquette Marvel, Aiden, who is in dead last and cannot pick up any more points. And so it looks like he is done for. I'm not going to say anything until it actually goes final because I don't want to dig myself a grave to eat toxic waste. But it looks like Aiden, our executive producer of Watch DA Live, the Marquette Marvel, is going to have to eat toxic waste, and he's going to have to do it on this show. Okay? On this show. So you'll see this maybe next week whenever I can get my hands on it. Again, promotions team has to get in charge of this. But once we get that toxic waste, Aiden's going to have to deal with it. And we'll see it. We'll see the pain. That's what we're looking for. Forecast pain. Like looking at the eclipse without glasses. My eyes. That's right. You want that bourbon? Sorry. The stakes are high. Now it's pain. All right, time now to wrap up the show with a little Q&DA. All right, so as always, you can send your comments. I love the family that we're building here. I love that we have an amazing group of people that are really kind of communicating, getting together on Sunday nights, having a cocktail. That's what we say. If you're of age, have yourself a little cocktail, a beer, wind down to the end of the week, and watch DA Live on all of our channels, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook at facebook.com/The DA Show. All right, throw them up here. DA, between the Earthquake Friday, Solar Eclipse Monday, can we get an alien spaceship to arrive and take away Rob Manfred? That's from Matt. I am just so fed up with this guy. And it's a shame because the rules changes last year was certainly a big boom to baseball. And I think a lot of people like the expanded playoffs. I don't love it, but I think a lot of people like it. And so better rules, more people in the playoffs, more teams in the playoffs should be what Rob Manfred has as look of the successes. But my goodness, is this guy, honestly, this A's thing, to me, completely stains his entire resume because it is so ugly how it's unfolding publicly. And Ron Darling said, and he played for the A's for 5 seasons at the end of his career. He's now a New York Mets broadcaster. And, of course, you see him on TBS during the playoffs as well. Said, the only way I can describe this is appalling. He said it's appalling. Now, Darling's not a hot take guy. He said the A's relocation nonsense is appalling. And I would agree. And it is being watched by Manfred. So he's completely useless. And I just am so sick of this guy. Next up here on the Q&DA, Cigar City Capo, Caitlin to the Big 3. She has this amazing offer from Ice Cube. But honestly, we're kind of at a place where if she plays the Big 3, even though financially it makes a ton of sense, it kind of seems beneath her. And the sideshow things that happen in sports, like when Chad Ochocinco raced the horse and things like this, usually happen on people that are really hard up for cash. And Caitlin's probably not. She's probably made some good NIL money the last 2 years. I saw her in commercials during this tournament, and she's going to go to the WNBA, where I know that there's salary limitations, but ultimately from endorsements, she'll be well compensated. So I don't think she's going to do it, but you couldn't find an easier paycheck, because how long is the Big Three season? Is it even a season? You play like 6 games, 8 games, 10 games, and then there's a playoffs. And no expectations. So they keep stats. I mean, if you were like, oh, Caitlin Clark averaged 22, 7, and 3 for her Big Three career, would that even mean anything? You're like, well, how long are the games? Are they timed? Is it like first one to 21? I don't even know. So she's not going to do it, but it's good cash. Cold, hard cash. Okay, next up. Hey, DA, this is from King Curtis. Katie is always so positive. Her energy is infectious. I love Katie, and I think that's what it is that whatever you ask her to do, she's down for. What do you want to do? Yeah, let's do it. What's the bit? Yeah, let's do it. Let's joke around. Let's have some fun. She just has a great attitude about everything, and I think we can all agree those are the types of people you get drawn to, and I just try to surround myself with people like that, especially on the show, because when you wake up early, got to go to work. The last thing you want is people that don't want to be there. And sometimes I just hear low energy people on the radio or on TV. Seems like it's almost a chore for them. Doesn't mean you always have to, everything's got to be great. Like I rant on a lot of things that bother me a lot. Artificial turf, New Jerseys, Rob Manfred. But, I'm thrilled to be there every single day. I hope I bring energy. Katie's just like that. Like she just brings that energy, and we love that. And that's why, everything she does, she's pretty awesome at. Kind of jealous. Here's Brandon Cristal, who is a Denver Broncos insider, a longtime friend of mine. We worked at the same radio station back in Kansas City back in the early aughts. Yes, probably now 21 years ago is when we launched 610 Sports Radio in KC in 2003. He was one of the original staff members, and now he's an NFL insider, like I said, in Denver. Hey, DA, first time, long time. This one is one of my new favorite Sunday traditions. If you do a bracket challenge next year, I'd like to join. Just let me know what time of the year you're doing it. We usually do it in March. Thanks, BK, for weighing in. And I will let you know. But again, part of the bit is if you lose, there's a punishment. You could just enter a bracket challenge just to win that $150 gift certificate. Hopefully next year we'll have even bigger prizes. But if you lose, you got to be able to absorb pain. By the way, Last Dive Bar says, DA, did you buy a stand with Oakland wristband? We're almost at $10,000 with the match. That'll be $20,000 to schools over stadiums. P.S. We love you. Last Dive Bar, man, is just one of the best fan collectives I've ever seen. They are one of the real lightning rods and motivators and true kind of unifiers of the Oakland A's fan base. They have this great apparel shop online. You've seen the wristband, which that has been a bit of a controversy with the A's. The players that have worn the wristbands seem to be getting sent down to the AAA, which is, again, so A's, it's, quote, appalling. But no, I have not bought my Stand with Oakland wristband. I will definitely do so to make sure that we get to contribute to the schools over stadiums, which is in Las Vegas, the cause that they're saying, why are we going to earmark hundreds of millions of dollars to the stadium when we could put it towards schools, which I've always said is the right idea. And it's a terrible kind of finger trap that we're all in the United States, where professional billionaires know that they can just play off other municipalities to make us as taxpayers pay for their ballparks, which used to never be a thing. Owners they used to have to build their own stadiums. That's how it went. And then there came a time when it was, well, if you won't do it, somebody else will. And maybe the most famous one was the Brooklyn Dodgers leaving because they couldn't get their ballpark done in the late 50s. And so they went to Los Angeles, where looky here, Chavez Ravine is given to them. Indianapolis Colts couldn't get their ballpark done, their stadium done in Baltimore, and so they had to leave for Indianapolis, and on and on and on it goes. I don't know if there's ever an end to it, but I'm here for causes that stand up to giving billionaires basically welfare checks to build their stadiums. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. So Last Dive Bar, man, are good people. They really are. And I'm always with them. I wear their T-shirts at the gym and around the house. And you've seen me show them here on Watch DA Live as well. So, man, I'm with you guys. No doubt about it. All right, let's throw out one more here. Cigar City Capo, how many pull-ups is Katie crushing nowadays? Yeah, Katie doesn't have a six-pack. She has like a 12-pack. I didn't even know you could have that many abs. She posts these videos on social media all the time, and she does curls and this thing where you do sit-ups, and then some type of like things that make you puke, and then she does the curls. It's insane. I mean, she's just in some type of shape that I could only dream about being in. So I don't know. My guess is like 100 curls. My guess is like she does a performance on stage and then just goes and does curls as well, and then crushes some ox roast and just runs like 5 miles. It's just insane. Okay. I think that's going to do it for us tonight. We've run over more than an hour here, but we wanted to keep this thing going because we started a little bit late. So thank you, everybody, for sticking with us as we worked out, kind of lining up everything early in the show. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Once again, this episode is archived on YouTube if you missed it. So make sure you like or subscribe to that page, the YouTube page at Damon Amendo. At Damon Amendo. Go there, subscribe to the page. That way, when I do deep dives, you'll get notifications that the videos are up. And when we go live, you'll get notifications as well. And you'll be able to constantly go back and watch these if you had to cut away, do something else, come back to watch it, what have you. So thanks to Katie Linendoll, thanks to Kyle Pitts, and thanks to the Marquette Marvel, Aiden Hack tomorrow night, men's national championship game. We'll talk about that on the radio, I'm sure. Also, right here to Watch DA Live next Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 Pacific. Watch for more videos on the YouTube page as well, DA Deep Dives. Check me out mornings on SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio Channel 82. Thanks, Aiden. Thanks to the D-Aliens. Love you all. Cheers. Let's go watch an Eclipse together tomorrow, all right? Salud. God bless. We'll see you next time.